My Love of Life Energy is a podcast created by Anna Scott. Anna knows that every human being sees life uniquely. In this podcast, she will talk to people and learn from them. These conversations are to shine the brilliance of each human being she speaks to. Join her. After each exploration, you will expand on your insights and see truth and beauty.
Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. And today I am deeply, deeply honored to have with me Matthew Blesso and Hans Ruiz. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here, Anna.
So we are going to be talking about their program called Man Up Journey, but how this came into being is Matthew is a former client of mine, one of my a man who I truly, truly love and admire, and I've known for 10 years. And I've watched this man transform his life. I watched him become in a relationship. And I've heard about Hans for 10 years, but I've never met him till today. So welcome. It's an honor to have you guys here.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah. So when you told me about what you guys are doing, this Man Up Journey, I was like, how can I support this? I thought it was, one is so beautiful because of the relationship between you and Hans, a father and son, and then your intention. So can you guys share what Man Up Journey is about?
Yeah, I guess Man Up Journeys is trying to tackle this ongoing crisis that's going on with young men, and it's this deep, I guess, currently in the state of the world, there's a deep polarization for like various of information and what's out there for men and what masculinity means, and especially young teenage boys or young men are having a hard time, or in any generation don't know themselves at this current age when they're from 14 to 20 or even older than that. They don't have a sense of knowing who they are, so they grasp towards out information or social media and things that are going on in the world, and they try to I guess make masculinity for themselves, and in a lot of ways today that's really toxic, and it's not and it's providing men into this kind of negative, um a harmful version of what it is to be a man. And I guess Man Up Journeys is trying to establish these principles again, because everyone kind of knows what, or has an idea of what an image of what a man could be, or the certain things that they have, a model of what masculinity is, and we're trying to just having a healthy, grounded model of masculinity for people to follow.
Hans, I'm loving this, having a young son. I can feel the richness of what you're offering. So my first question is, how did you get interested in this? What made you guys want to do this?
Well, I guess for me, since I was about 7, I was super interested. I had a deep interest for businesses and solving problems and things. I was super curious, so I liked a bunch of current events and issues and everything. And I found like how they all intertwine with businesses, and how they all have um a connection, that they can all work together. So with businesses, social issues that are going on, and this sense that I like solving problems kind of sparked an entrepreneurship spirit in me. And so since I was 7, I worked at my dad's restaurant as a waiter and cook, and always learning about businesses, and the spirit developed in me since I was 7. And so it's something that now, when I was 11, I had like a cookie stand business, and I was selling cookies everywhere, and it became a pretty big hit for a while. I sold out 3 times. Um
Wow.
and it came to now, when I'm older, I have
You had the sandwich business.
And I had the saying, that's right. I had also at school, I was selling sandwiches to a bunch of kids, and that was pretty successful as well. And I've always kind of found problems as I've been going through different periods of my life or different environments that I've been living in. And I've offered a solution in some sort of sense to that. And with Man Up and how it kind of started is I wanted to do something that was little bit more meaningful, that had more human impact to people, because those are the businesses that people will talk about. Like for me, an experience that I've had was just recently, I did a mini rite of passage that was not necessarily like hiking in this 4-day backpacking adventure that we offer, but it had the same foundations, and that had a crazy and meaningful impact to me as someone, a young teenage boy or young men who are going into these experiences. And that's something that we wanted to offer to everyone. And we wanted to everyone have their own rite of passage because it's
Mm.
also really important right now. And we were kind of bouncing back between ideas of what business ventures that we could come up or we could tackle. And this one kind of resonated with us. And we didn't immediately start it out. It just kind of was an idea. We're like, oh yeah, we like that. And then it kind of evolved into something that we were working on daily and constantly for months on end. And yeah.
Oh, how beautiful. I have a couple questions for you, if that's all right. So what made you go, I want to tackle this problem about young men and how they feel about themselves? Because for myself, I see what's happened, like a backlash of women against the men, young men.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm curious, what made you go, yeah, this is the one I want to talk, and what do you see about it?
Well, I feel like right now, as someone who is the target audience, like young men is a target audience right now in a bunch of different movements, or and being receiving all these messages from either social media or influencers or other things that are harmful um to young men's mental health, kind of stuck out to me in a way that is meaningful. Is like this is something that I'm being affected by,
Mm,
which as you can see in this year's and over the past couple of decades, the level of anxiety, depression, social isolation, um, that young men are facing are is is extreme. I mean, in this current
mm,
days, people feel more connected together through social media, but in a way, some people feel the loneliest they've ever been. And
mm,
that's it's interesting how like such a tool that has been developed that means connection and that means um all these things actually isolate people even further. And so that's something I've been kind of observing through my own experiences or through other experiences for other I guess friends or people my age that I've seen. And it's worrisome, and it's something that
mm.
I feel a strong connection to.
Can I ask you about that? So your friend group and yourself, like, I'm curious, what are the messages that you've seen on social media that men are receiving
Hmm.
that
So
aren't healthy?
yeah, a lot of it, it's hard to uh speak a lot of about that because I feel like there's the information that's being out there is can be portrayed or received in many different ways because
Mhm.
it's public information that you're just observing and you're retaining. But in some ways, it you have one side that's telling you that masculinity is toxic and it's not okay, and then you have
Mm,
another side that is more giving you the wrong um, message of what masculinity means. That could be devaluing women, or that could be
ah,
kind of putting um, men versus woman instead of it just being men and woman. So it's kind of
ah,
like isolating yourself even further and being it's a me versus them kind of thing. And it's a message that's being portrayed everywhere. I mean, if I open my phone, I was opening my phone today, and there's, even though these messages are absurd, it's the ones that are getting views and the ones that are being displayed from social media. And it's the one that, you know, people get the most clicks on because it's outrageous, but it's becoming subconsciously and driven into people's minds, and they're believing it, and or in some sort of way that they're expressing what they're seeing on social media into their everyday lives.
Wow. I'm so touched by what you're sharing. I want to let you know that.
Thank you.
And what's the message that you and Matthew, what's the message that you want to give to these young men? What do you want them to know?
Sure, I'll jump in. I guess that uh, a number of things. It starts with just having a sense of they're not alone, and that there is community and mentors and answers available for them. That it's, you know, being vulnerable and sharing your fears and your concerns and your challenges is a strength, and it's not a weakness. Um, and that and really to provide examples of what does it mean to be a man today? Because I think that's really, I think a lot of young men are really confused by that question. And um and it's you know, Hans touched on it a little bit, but I think they're feeling sort of like politically homeless, in that on, you know, on the far right you have some examples, and I'm not even making a political argument here, but you have some examples of being a man is about taking, about tricking, about overcoming, about using force, about um, um, you know, doing whatever it takes to win at all costs. And then on, you know, on the far left, you have elements of um, if you even talk about manhood in an area where there's so much gender fluidity, it's like a minefield. So you can't even express in some circles about even what it means to be a man, because some people might say, well, oh, but why can't women be that way? Or there's some people that there's a movement of sort of even acknowledging gender differences in some circles. So I personally think there are gender differences, and I also believe in you know, in equality and of all genders and all sexual orientations, absolutely. But there are, you know, there are gender differences that I think a lot of young men are not even able to acknowledge and recognize. So it's, you know, I think, you know, growing up in any era is hard, you know, because we all are finding our way, and when your body is transforming, your mind is transforming at that age, and that's why all these cultures do rite of passage. But it's gotten much harder today, and I think particularly for young men who don't have examples to look up to. And so they're finding these examples instead on social media in many cases, because that's all that's available to them. And they're getting some really warped messages. Or, you know, boys who are watching pornography will think like that's what women want in for sexual encounters with them, and that's what's training them. So, you know, they're learning a lot of really unhealthy habits uh, because there's no guardrails on media today.
God, it's beautiful. I mean, I just want to say I'm so sorry. Like for men, how tough it must be. Like that's what I'm feeling. The alienation by being a man, a young boy.
And a lot of the suffering, at least for men, young men, is silent for them, is not being heard for for people to share and for people to know about it. They kind of suffer in silence. So it's an extra thing that we want as a man up. We want to make sure that these emotions and these feelings and these events that are occurring on young men are being heard and that they can fully express it.
Oh my God. So what's your intention for Man Up? What would you love to have during these 4 days? Tell me about the event and what you hope that people get out of it and where it's going to be. Give me that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so our first event is going to be right now, we're doing in the Adirondacks, upstate in New York. It's in a place in Long Lake, and we are having a 3-night, 4-day adventure, a father-son connection. And we on the first day, we are all gonna arrive for lunch. And that first day is just gonna be to break in and to have icebreakers, and so people can meet each other. And our whole goal for the 4 days that they're going to be on this journey is to have meaningful connections with fathers and sons, um, so that they can, it's like a torch passing on kind of thing. How I think about it is that the father is showing the way of this new transitional period that there will be in their lives, and they're passing this torch down to kind of being this, you're the next in line, to help the next generation. And we're going to be doing a lot of challenge and reflection. So physical activities is we'll be going on a 7 mile bike, sorry, not bike, boat ride, and also a 7 mile hike in one of those days. And throughout that, we'll intertwine many various ceremonies, um, and I guess a lot of facilitation, and that won't feel like facilitation. That more will feel meaningful in a way that it's natural in a kind of sort of sense. How like when you're just having conversation that maybe you won't unintentionally realize the importance that it will have on you. I don't know. Would you like to add anything else?
Just something, there's an element of adventure, an element of solitude as well, and solo reflection. The 7 mile hike is all in the backcountry and will overnight just with nothing. Everything that we'll use and need will be self-sufficient and that we're carrying with us. And we're going to explore. So yeah, the 7 mile hike is into the backcountry where we take everything with us that we need to be self-sufficient, and then we spend the night there, hike back again the next morning, and we'll be exploring themes like father-son relationships, or us dads will also share a little bit about what our memories are for when we were teenagers, rights of manhood, emotional honesty, intimacy and boundaries, values, how to engage in healthy risk taking and differentiate it from unhealthy risk taking, um, and and the real goal is to get the boys to open up about the type of men that they would like to become, but allow them to do so in a supportive and respectful environment. And for a lot of most men, it's just even talking about your feelings is not, is uncomfortable. And so and Hans is, well, you can speak about this more than me, but because I've been doing it longer, but I think just sending the message of like from other men of this is what it's like to be, this is an example of, this is a way to to be a man. And when Hans was going off to high school for the first time, I gathered about 9 of my close men friends, and we took Hans to dinner, and we all ran around the table and we shared and we gave Hans advice of what it was like to be in high school and how to show up in high school as he begins to get older. And the reason we did that is because I wanted to give Hans um, some experience of models of different men that I know very well and I know are showing up really well in the world, as a contrast to what he's otherwise seeing on social media or on TV.
Can I ask you, Hans, what was that night like for you?
I mean, I remember it pretty well. It was, I think, the week before I left the school. It was like barely recent, before I left. And it was extremely meaningful hearing these different men who have already established their lives. And I'm just, I guess, starting mine in that way. Um, and it was really meaningful hearing their stories and like what they've had to say, the advices, because with advice came stories, came deep connection. And I those meanings were, I mean, those stories were extremely meaningful. And I remember hearing that your closest friends, um, the people who you choose in your life, are going to be your outcome, and how you kind of portray yourself in the world, and how and show about you too. So that I've been always very cognizant about the friends that I've chosen and the people I surround myself with. So it's meaningful things that I've taken with me even till today. So it was such an amazing experience, and that was kind of that. Yeah, it was a great dinner. I remember that very specifically.
You also spoke earlier about you recently had an initiation process, and that was kind of a spark to what your Man Up is about, which I love the name. All of a sudden, when you said, I realize I'm bouncing around, so give me a minute. I just said, when you saw Man Up, I just saw the father handing the son the hand to man up, to come into this next generation. And I just have chills. It's like an intentional growing. But what I'm hearing that you're offering is for people to come up with their own definition of what their manhood is, not from outside circumstances, but internally. Is that correct?
Yes, that is, yes. Well, we'll have definitely we have instilled values of what we show and what we teach, and kind of the facilitations that Man Up kind of, um the guidelines that we show, but it's really everyone is there creating their own sense of man, and their own sense of, it's kind of a father passing down the torch to their son,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it means differently for different people, but we have definitely instilled values into what manhood means.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Are
some things that we believe that we are putting forth as positive values and positive traits in being a man, things like service and courage and emotional strength, vulnerability, community, um, yeah, how to treat women, how to show up in the world. So we certainly are very forward in that, and being clear that this is what it means to be a man, and this is what's needed today in the world. And I've been doing kind of an exercise for the past year, where when I'm at a dinner table with a bunch of friends or people that were, exploring ideas, and I ask a question. I said, if you look around the world today, and there's a lot of very obviously very challenging things going on, and a lot of people, and there's a lot of leaders out there that I think a lot of people don't look up to. And I asked this question of, well, who comes to mind if you think of someone that you do look up to? Like, who are our role models that we can share with our kids today? And like who can we get behind and support? and and people don't really have much to say, and it's rather sad that, and I'm really thinking about, politics and business, but I'm not talking about just nice people in our lives that we know, but people that have real influence and power that we want to get behind. And a few people will say the Dalai Lama. It's interesting. A name that comes up often is
Matthew, you were talking about being at dinner and looking at politics and business people. and like, who can we get behind?
Yeah, I think people are generally lost on that one. When I asked the question from a lot of also smart, prominent, successful people, they're generally stumped in terms of someone that they really can hold out as a role model. There's people who are doing impressive things, but in terms of when I ask the question, who do you really want to be a role model for your kids, man or woman, and that has, you know, real power and influence today, most people are stumped by the question, and that's a shame. That's a shame that we're not putting forth leaders today, and so, you know, one of the goals of projects like Man Up, it's not just to positively influence the lives of the people who attend, but also in some small way to try to do something positive to build better leaders for our future.
That's beautiful. Okay. We're coming to the end of our time, which I can't believe. I want to put in my 2 cents here. What you two are doing is beyond powerful. We've had some technical issues, and I've had chills throughout our conversation. And I see that you're in a social movement, and it's powerful. It's about men learning how to be men in our culture and do it with dignity and power, and with an open heart.
Yep.
But from the inside, not from outside projections in. So I'm so behind you and want to support you in this. So please let us know the event details, where people can find out about it, where they can learn more. I want this out there.
Yeah, we have a website that has all the information, our mission, about us, the facilitator, and our current event that we'll have in August of August the 16th, and also of a potential next year that we're looking for, maybe in Machu Picchu in Peru, or perhaps again in upstate New York. And it's manupjourneys.com. And
Okay, great.
yep.
Yeah, and our
That will,
event August 15th to August 19th of this year in the
okay,
Adirondack.
great. All right,
And
all of this is
also,
going to be in,
one more thing is, sorry to interrupt. We also, it is designed both for fathers and sons to join together, but also for sons or boys to join on their own. And I think it's, you know, particularly can be impactful for the many boys out there that are growing up without a primary dad in their lives. So we welcome that, and we'll be the surrogate fathers, us and the other facilitators, for anybody that that wants to join. They could also come with another father figure that in their life, that even if it's not their father.
anything else you want people to know about this event that I may not have asked?
No, if anybody knows a teenage boy, they can probably benefit. So please, you know, please share it with them. I think we've getting really positive feedback that people think it's an amazing initiative that we're doing, and so that keeps us going and that excites us. But we also want people to refer the people in their lives that they know, so that we can keep it going.
Great. Well, thank you. It's been such an honor to have you two, and I just wish you the best of luck. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much, Anna, for having us here.
Thanks,
My
Anna.
pleasure. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.